Mike, there's a lot of discussion today about the pH factor. We're told that our bodies are too acidic, and that's part of the reason we have a disease state. And so we're supposed to be more alkaline and eat alkaline foods and that sort of thing. And yet we also know that the stomach is acidic, and we need acid in the stomach. So there seems to be a conflict there. Please cover that topic.
Well, about pH, a lot of people are concerned whether their diet is too acidic, and what's the interaction with stomach acid, which needs to be acidic. So let me clarify a couple of myths on this. First of all, the diets of most Americans or Westerners are too acidic, and this does create problems because of the balance that has to be maintained in the blood. The pH of the blood has to be at a certain specific level. I think it's right around 7.1. And if it varies off of that level, even by 0.1, you're dead. So the body does everything it can do to maintain that proper pH, including, if it needs to, stripping calcium and other minerals out of your skeletal system to buffer the acidity of the foods and beverages that you're drinking. So that's the first thing to know, that a highly acidic diet results in the depletion of bone mineral density. The consumption of soft drinks and tea and refined sugars is, in my opinion, one of the most prominent causes of osteoporosis and osteomalacia, and leading to hip fractures, of course. So that's the first thing people need to know. Therefore, getting your diet more alkaline in terms of what you bring into your body is very beneficial for human health, because most Westerners, again, are too acidic. But what's the role of stomach acid? Stomach acid needs to be highly acidic, the acid itself. And most people's stomach acid is not acidic enough. Very interesting. Because they have poor nutrition, and you have to have outstanding nutrition to really support your digestion and the creation of digestive juices and acid, and even things like bile from your gallbladder, for example. So low stomach acid results in poor digestion, which means poor assimilation of the nutrients that you have consumed. Low stomach acid is typically experienced as heartburn, which people think is due to high stomach acid. Most people think they have too much acid, they really have too little acid. If they were more acidic, they could digest foods more easily. This problem is especially prevalent in people over 50 years old, for example. The production of hydrochloric acid in the stomach tends to drop off with age. And thus, the older people get, the less they are able to assimilate the foods and nutrients they're consuming, especially the minerals, because the minerals require very high stomach acid for assimilation. So elderly people, like people you might find in nursing homes, for example, they're eating a really bad diet at that nursing home, not very nutritious food at all, and they suffer from very low stomach acid, so they really die from malnutrition. They're not dying from a heart attack or liver failure or kidney failure. They're dying from malnutrition. If they could get the stomach acid back up and get the mineral intake back up and get the phytonutrients back in, they could be revitalized. There's no reason why we can't live to be 100 with our full mental faculties and with good health and good energy. There's no reason why we can't do that. But we have to be able to assimilate nutrients if we're going to live to be 100. So, one of the things that people need to do is bring their stomach acid up, but not artificially, not by swallowing acidic substances. That doesn't make any sense. But by supporting stomach acid production. I mentioned earlier, one way to do this is to drink celery juice on a daily basis. Celery juice, raw celery juice, supports the production of stomach acid. Once you get your stomach acid up, then your diet can absorb the minerals you're taking in, and you should make sure to get ocean minerals into your diet, meaning eating plants grown in ocean minerals. It's not a common thing, but it's something that you can do yourself. You can grow your own sprouts, as I mentioned, in ocean minerals, or your own garden. You can have heavily mineralized tomatoes. Yams absorb more minerals than almost any other plant, other than grass. You can also buy organic, which tends to have more minerals in it versus conventionally grown fruits and vegetables. It's a good reason to buy organic. Then your mineral content goes up, and then you don't have the problems related to a highly acidic diet. Also, another quick tip is if you consume mineral supplements, do not consume those with alkaline supplements because they have the opposite effect. I mean, you want an acidic stomach acid environment to absorb the minerals. So take your minerals separately from taking things like barley grass, chlorella, spirulina, or any of the vegetables that are alkaline. Just makes sense from a chemistry point of view. So throughout the day then, what a human being should really do to be healthy is they should have certain meals that are more acidic, such as citrus fruits with minerals. You get the vitamins from the citrus and the absorption of the minerals. And then later on in the day, you have an alkaline meal. You get the alkaline super foods, I call them, like chlorella, spirulina, cooked vegetables or raw vegetables. And then later on, you go back to a more acidic meal. You need to go in cycles like this to honor the way biochemistry really works.
Good. We also know that there's a huge difference between acid in general and stomach acid, which is hydrochloric acid.
Oh, yes.
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 Just no acid at all is going to work. It's got to be hydrochloric or it's not working.
Very
and that
important.
has to be produced.
Yes.
Mike, let's talk about sunlight.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
People are afraid of getting in the sun or they're going to get cancer.
Yes, it's bizarre, isn't it? People are afraid of sunlight for all the wrong reasons. Sunlight is, in my view, one of the most powerful medicines available to us. It's free of charge, which is one reason it's not really promoted, but one reason I love to talk about it. Sunlight works with your skin to generate the most powerful medicine in the world, vitamin D. When the rays of sun actually touch your skin as an organ produces vitamin D. This vitamin D is then processed through your liver and other organs to create the biological forms of vitamin D that you need. I'm simplifying this. This vitamin D is then used to regulate the growth of cells in your body. So vitamin D halts the growth of breast cancer, prostate cancer tumors. Vitamin D is crucial for the absorption of calcium. If you do not have vitamin D in your body, you can eat all the calcium you want. You will not absorb calcium through your small intestine. So people who are suffering from bone disorders, osteoporosis, osteomalacia, more often than not, they're taking calcium by the handload and they have no vitamin D. And they're wondering, how come my bones aren't any more dense? Well, the answer is your doctor never told you about vitamin D, did they? No. They didn't. You need vitamin D to absorb calcium. So vitamin D promotes a strong skeletal system and bone mineral density. I have the highest bone mineral density that this one practitioner where I got it measured had ever seen. He said, you have the bone mineral density of like a 19-year-old gymnast girl or something. He said, how do you do that? I said, it's sunlight. It's very simple. Sunlight and exercise. Now, but back to sunlight. Here's another myth. We are taught that sunlight causes cancer. It's a myth, and it's a bit complex, but here's how it works. Ultraviolet radiation, the UV rays, are both a blessing and a curse. They're a blessing in that they heal us by creating vitamin D. We need exposure to ultraviolet light to be healthy. Ultraviolet light, though, in excess, can promote mutations in the DNA of our blood and our organs. So too much ultraviolet radiation is harmful. It's like many things. You want to be in the sweet spot, not too much, not too little. Most people have far too little. The dermatology industry has scared everybody into slathering themselves up with sunscreen. Sunscreen, which, by the way, not only blocks the absorption of ultraviolet radiation that promotes vitamin D, that promotes the prevention of cancer, sunscreens also contain toxic chemicals. They contain fragrance chemicals, usually, fragrance chemicals that have never been approved by the FDA that promote liver cancer. So sunscreen actually causes cancer, and it prevents the prevention of cancer that you would get from sunlight. But then people say, wait a minute, What about sunburns? Sunscreen prevents sunburns, right? Well, yes, but there's another way to prevent sunburns. A much better way to prevent sunburns. It's called internal nutritional sunscreen. When you eat a diet high in berries, like blueberries, raspberries, cranberries, or in certain antioxidants such as the zeaxanthins, or there's a product out there called astaxanthin. It's derived from microalgae, and it's also present in shellfish like shrimp. It's the red coloring in shrimp. It's also found in the red coloring in salmon, for example. It's just another example of the medicine in your food. Well, this astaxanthin or these zeaxanthins get assimilated by your system, and they become embedded in the tissues of your skin, and they function as a natural sunscreen. All of a sudden, you absorb the ultraviolet radiation that you need to halt cancer and promote healthy bones, but you block too much because you have the internal sunscreen built into your tissues due to the antioxidants that you have been eating on a regular basis. Isn't it amazing how nature has already solved these problems for us? Guess what? We don't need to buy sunscreen. We don't need cancer treatments. You know, what we need is sunlight and healthy foods. You do those two things in combination, you're in great shape. Personal experience. When I was younger, I was teased as the guy who would sunburn in 30 minutes. I grew up in the Midwest, and sun touching my skin, it was evil, you know, because I had a terrible diet. I would burn so easily, and the burns would be quite bad. Once I got healthy, I noticed that the sun didn't burn me anymore. And now I live in the desert in Arizona. In the middle of the summer, I will often go running out through the desert at the peak of day. I mean, when it's 105 degrees out. I'll carry my water, a pair of shorts, and my tennis shoes. That's it. You know, I don't have a shirt on at all. I don't wear any sunscreen. Do I get sunburned? Nope. Do I have skin cancer? Nope. Do I believe dermatologists? Absolutely not. They only tell you part of the story. They never tell you that antioxidants can protect you from skin cancer. That's the real answer to skin cancer. So you need sunlight. We need it as human beings. I mean, do you think our ancestors lived under fluorescent lighting? Of course not. Did our ancestors hide indoors all the time? Of course not. Our ancestors lived under the sun. What an amazing idea that the sun could actually be helpful to us. And we have been almost hypnotized to fear the sun in a cult-like manner. It's almost like we've been told that the sun is evil, avoid the sun, it will kill you. I beg to differ. The sun is the source of all life that you see on this planet. Plants would not exist without sun. Humans could not live without the energy provided by the sun because we eat the plants and we eat the animals that live off the plants. We wouldn't even have oil without sunlight. Oil is derived from sun on plants hundreds of thousands or millions of years ago. Nothing would exist on this planet in terms of life without the sun. The sun brings all life to us. And yet we have been taught that sun will kill us. It is 180 degrees apart. That's how much conventional medicine has twisted the truths about natural healing. They've convinced us that something that will protect us from cancer will kill us. And by the way, this is why you never hear any information about sunlight or vitamin D. The gentleman who wrote the book, Dr. Michael Holick, he's the world's foremost expert on vitamin D. When he wrote the book on how important vitamin D is for our health, he was booted out of his job in the dermatology industry. They said, take a hike. We don't like your message. We got to sell sunscreen. That's what happens when you have your job at stake or your reputation at stake. You see, I have nothing at stake. You know, no one can fire me because I don't work for anybody. I work for the readers. I work for the people, you know, who can benefit from this information. So I can't be fired. And the sun, to me, I thank the sun every day. I wake up, I thank the sun for being there, for giving us this life. And I love it on my skin.